The other day I made a short video, about the mass migration going on and how it's affecting certain working class neighbourhoods in Dublin, but also outside Dublin. These were protests that were being held in Killarney, in Ballymun and in East Wall. Now, as it happens, there was a second protest last night in Ballymun.
In support there, and we're out here this evening to assist and to give support to the people.
I will leave a link to the full video below in the descriptions. So I just saw that tonight myself on YouTube, and then I sat down to have my tea, and while I was having my tea I was listening to the news, and this government minister or spokesperson for the department involved, the government department involved, he was talking about the situation in Ballymun, which he said was being engineered by far-right groups. Now, in spite of it being engineered by far-right groups, he had decided to meet with the residents, with the concerned people. And so a meeting is being held tonight. It's going on right at this moment in Ballymun to sort of consult with the local community, etc., etc. Now, of course, the reality of that meeting is totally different. You're probably familiar with how this goes, but what will be happening wherever this meeting is happening now tonight, what will happen is you will have on the podium or at the top of the room, you'll have 5 or 6 people. These will be politicians, maybe NGO types, people who believe in multiculturalism and diversity and all that. You know, educated people. They'll be at the top of the room, 5 or 6 of them. And they will use that position of power to dictate the agenda for the meeting. And for the first hour or so, they will just talk. They'll set the scene. Eventually, after they've had their say for a solid hour, hour and a half, saying all the right things, eventually the ordinary people, will be allowed to ask questions. Now, of course, most of the ordinary people in the audience won't be ordinary people. Most of them will be left-wing activists, people who don't live in Ballymun, or who at best have a very tenuous connection with it. These will be radical left-wing, pro-mass immigration types. They'll be allowed to ask the right questions and to make the right comments, etc., etc. Eventually, at some point in the meeting, an actual real person, one of the protesters, will get an opportunity to ask a question, at which point they'll be called far right, etc., etc. And that's basically all that will happen at this meeting. Now, no ordinary people will be invited to this meeting, but 1 or 2 far right people, which is to say 1 or 2 ordinary people who live in the neighbourhood, will have heard about it and gone along. They won't have been invited. The only people invited to this meeting will be people who are either radical left-wing or people who are likely to side with the government line. And the 1 or 2 real people who get into this meeting, actual protesters who get to the meeting, the people that the meeting is supposed to be about, 1 or 2 of them will get in, but they'll be shut up. They'll be shut up, shouted down, and labelled racist, far right, all of that. So, no good will come out of the meeting. Now, over in East Wall, now the spokesperson, a guy called Malachy, for the people over there, they've taken the right stance. They actually had a meeting with some government officials or representatives of the government, and they listened to what they had said. They listened to the spiel, but they only made one point themselves, and that is they want these young foreign men out of the community. That was it. And they didn't negotiate with them at all, which is the right way. But anyhow, I'm waffling on a bit. Yes, I was looking at another piece of video footage from Ballymun last night.
There's no better feeling in the world than a peaceful protest. No better feeling. People of Ireland are rising.
I will leave a link to that video also. I don't know who it's by, some lady, some woman, some girl. I'll leave a link to it anyhow. But as I said at the end of my other video that I did the other day, I don't think these protests will achieve anything. I really don't. But if I'm wrong, I'd be very, very happy to be wrong.